Joseph brought our cremated son home the day the dogwood filled up, its branches fat with flowers. I didn't know what the tree was called when I first saw it. Even when my husband called it dogwood, the name meant nothing to me. I understood the wood part. After all, it was a tree. But the dog part was odd, as nothing in the tree resembled a dog. I had no name for it in Spanish, and this made the tree seem even more otherworldly. Because for things to become real, I must be able to name them in Spanish. I later learned the tree is called cornejo florido. Florido made sense. Some dogwoods don't flower, and this one did, so one must specify. But the word cornejo, the true name of the tree, I didn't understand. I thought cornejo was a last name, like the dog in the English word. Cornejo remained a mystery. I liked the tree's resistance to make sense. The tree managed to enchant me right at first glance. I was baffled, as the tree had little to flaunt as extraordinary. Sure, it was leafy and extended its branches in a pleasing canopy, but lots of trees accomplish that. It wasn't even flowering when I first saw it. And all white, fat with flowers, is when it's at its most beautiful. Perhaps I foresaw the dogwood's potential, that it would become white in spring and stand stark against the evergreens behind it. That first day in Firgesan, the dogwood stood fully green at the farthest edge of the water, as if floating on the large pond my son, Santiago, called a lake. We had moved from Mexico City to upstate New York because of that house where the dogwood stood, because it was smack in the middle of nowhere, just woods and fresh air. Santiago needed a place to recuperate, like the sick people in English novels who went to the seashore. The house was called Firgesan, and I got an aristocratic thrill knowing I would live in a house with a name. A manor, my husband proudly explained to Santiago and me. My ancestors built it in the late 18th century. It had started as a modest farm and had grown from there. From outside, his manor resembled a cube with a gable roof, not very large, white, and, in every way, unmemorable. But inside, it was grand with its high-ceilinged entrance hall, huge stained glass window, mulberry runner, and grandiose wooden banisters. Off to one side, through a dark corridor, there was a library with tall shelves and dusty books. Farther, at the very end, a sitting room with wood-framed windows along two of its walls, large couches, plush chairs, and tables with spindly legs, the way I imagined the word parlor to look. Crowded, cozy, flowery, and comfortable. Santiago, like me, was in awe. The grounds outside the house extended into fields that led to the woods that surrounded the property. The pond curved around the back part of the house, where a more contemporary deck had been built. The deck was outfitted with minimalist wooden garden furniture, its cushions upholstered in grays and dark teals. Joseph has excellent taste. He spent the month before Santiago and I arrived cleaning and arranging the house. A house kept but not inhabited in years. Joseph built the deck for me, so I had a space for myself to enjoy the house from. The first day at Firgesan, the sun shone with a shy light that softened all edges and made everything warmer. Joseph was lucky for that light, and the dogwood tree, and the flickering pond, and the breeze that blew as I sat on the deck, because it made it difficult to complain further, to question the move once more, to find fault with the house, to discover its loneliness. I was happy for our seclusion then. In winter, my first and only winter at Firgesan, the dogwood stripped down to its bare and feeble branches. It looked so skinny, a pauper a step away from death, fighting to survive the cold.